lead at the top of the table. And I'm wondering, when was the last time we saw Remo Stars, or a Nigeria club, lead the log with as much as 12 points? I know back in the day when we used to have Enyimba and Kano Pillars topping the log, it used to be that way. But I think it's been a long time, I stand to be corrected, that we had this kind of gap in the NPFL.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. And I mean, the last time we had something like this was when, I think it was 2016, something close to this. It was 2016 when we all knew Enugu Rangers were going to win the league. That season, they were cruising to the top of the table. In fact, they were unreachable. Nobody could touch them. And then, but after that, we've had a couple of teams win the league. But of course, we've also had a couple of average seasons in the Nigeria Premier Football League. So we won't have something like this where teams would have to, play themselves at the latter end of the season. So it's been a long time. Like, yes, you are right. We had something like last season. We also knew that Rangers were also going to win the league because the way they started and all whatnot. So, but of course, yes, Remo Stars are doing well for themselves, and they decided to, grind the results yesterday. My worry for them is the fact that they started leaving these games too late to win. In their last two games now, they scored in the second half, not only in the second half, in the last 20 minutes of the game. Their game against, was it Abia United? No, Plateau United. Plateau United was the one they played yesterday when Olasupo came on and, of course, got the winner in 74 minutes. The one before that was against Plateau United. They also didn't score until the 79th minute when Haruna came in and, of course, also got the win for them. So they've been leaving the games too late for me, and it's quite worrisome for fans of the club, because you probably want to face another top team that would have to stretch you to the 90th minute, and then you don't know what will happen in the other games where your opponents will have to play. So I think they should start getting the wins as early as possible. In the last two games before these, they've scored quite early. The game against Kano Pillars, they scored 2 goals in the first half. The game against Abia United, they also scored 3 goals in the first half. So I don't know what happened to that Remo Stars. The last two Remo Stars we've seen, I mean, it's something in this local palace, we say they nearly give us high blood pressure. But of course, the win is a win. They got all 3 points.
A win is a win, and they got all 3 points. Bemidepo, I mean, Remo Stars' story and their journey, we've spoken about the coach and, of course, the way they've actually progressed through the season. And looking at how far they've gone now, I think we should just hand over the league title to Remo Stars. Or do you think the story can actually change towards the end of the season?
All right. I'll come from the perspective of the coach as well, because I spoke to him yesterday as well. And he said they would continue to fight till the end of the season. And he's not just being a pessimist or an optimist, if you ask me. I think he just said the right thing to the press. For me, I think Remo Stars, definitely, this should be their season. If not, this is their season. But I think there are about 11 games to go. And when I asked him yesterday as well, he said they're about, the team is going for the 33 points, which means that they are not looking to step back or to soften on the pedal at this point in time. And I think that's the right attitude to go when it comes to, the mentality of champions, the consistency. Yes, my colleague earlier spoke about the fact that they've not been getting the goals in the first half. But, this is what champions do. Their matches, you think they would lose or they will get to even drop points. Like the game yesterday, I saw the game live and I was wondering, where would the goal come from? And that's where their strength in depth at this point is really has really been an eye opener, and it has really helped them to maintain the momentum. That was an issue for them last season, but this time around they noted it and they strengthened again during the first half of window of the season, and they are doing very well for me. So if you ask me, I think Enugu Rangers boss, he mentioned the other day, a very close friend of Remo Stars coach. He mentioned the other day that I think the trophy is already halfway to Ikene. The trophy should have been in Shagam, close to Ikene at this point in time. Well, 11 games to go. This is the game of football. Although we used to say anything can still happen, but I don't think it would be like Remo Stars losing the title at this point. I think it is theirs to lose, and anything other than that would be a failed season for Remo Stars.
Pius, I heard you laughing. Like Gwemidepo said, anything can happen, but Remo Stars are not butlers like some clubs in England.
I don't think they will bust to this league. I honestly don't think they will bust to the league, even though I think, in my personal opinion, they should have won the league before this season. Last season, I honestly think they should have won the league. 2 seasons ago, when they also played the Abridge League, I saw the playoffs in Lagos, and I was wondering why Remo Stars wouldn't have won the league that year when Enyimba did. I mean, if you take a look at the progression, you will notice that this side, they already, I mean, you can't finish second back-to-back and then don't win the league in the third season. Looking at the investments and the kind of players, like my colleague also mentioned, the depth in the squad, they've signed players who can add value to the squad. I have a couple of players who are very close friends of mine, but are not even playing. And sometimes when I even want to query or just ask why they're not playing, once you watch the football game, you will understand the reason why those guys are not even playing, because they are gradually easing out some of the guys who have actually been with them for a very long time but are not already adding value. I might not be able to mention names of those guys, so I don't bring anyone down. But I mean, if you watch the team, you follow the team closely, you will notice that they're gradually easing out some of these guys and they're bringing in fresh guys who can add value to the team. So it's just been, I think they should win the league this season. Apart from winning the league, I also think they should be able to compete very well, I mean, continentally, because in the last 2 seasons, they've not been able to get into the group stages, which is quite shameful for me, because I think for a club like Remo Stars, they should be able to hold their own. I mean, last 2 seasons, they got knocked out by Media FC in Ghana, and last season, they got knocked out by Al Masry, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they should also be able to compete very well on the continent next season. I mean, just find your way into the group stage first, then you see how it goes from there. With the level of investment, with the level of coaching, I think the coach by far is top 2, top 3, the 3 best coaches in Nigeria. That's why he's also the assistant coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. If you take away himself, I struggle to see any coach in Nigeria who can actually match these guys in terms of ability to read the game, in terms of ability to interpret your tactics to the player. So if you have such a coach and then you have such an investment, you have such a owner, you have everything working for you, you have such a system, that's no reason why you shouldn't be doing well. I mean, the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we've not been doing well on the continent, apart from Enyimba, who sometimes we just manage to get in the group stage. They were the only team that got in the group stage on the continent last season. Even Enugu Rangers, who won the league, couldn't get there. Academy Warriors, who won the FA Cup, couldn't do it. Remo Stars, who finished second, could not also do it. So I think Remo Stars to start taking over the mantle from Enyimba. I think that team is tired. They are already tired of leading Nigeria, leading the league. Remo Stars should start taking the mantle. So we can also see private owned club also leading the charge. Let's leave the yes, you win the league. All things being equal, you win the league. But then the bigger picture is on the continent, and that's where I want to see Remo Stars do well.
All right, so we look forward to them performing on the continent. And yes, they've done so well so far in the NPFL, and hopefully, like the fans want, hopefully they will get to win the league. And you mentioned something about Enyimba. They did claim their 3rd away victory of the season with a 1-0 win over Niger Tornadoes in Lafia, thanks to Joseph Atule's decisive strike. Now, the People's Elephants have now accumulated 13 points on the road in the 2024-2025 NPFL campaign. Still talking about the games played over the weekend, it was Abia Warriors Abia Warriors and Nasarawa United played out a 1-1 draw, while Ikorodu City, they secured a 2-0 victory over Heartland FC in Lagos. Bayelsa United edged Bendel Insurance 2-1, and Kano Pillars came from behind to defeat Rangers International 2-1 at the Sani Abacha Stadium. And these are the results showing on your screen. And you get to wonder, like you rightly mentioned, Enyimba, yes, struggling in and out inconsistency when it comes to their form. But of course, the club chairman and sports director still believes that Enyimba can fight for something this season. And I'm wondering, for Pius, what exactly is Enyimba fighting for this season? It looks like the season is out of their hand already, talking about the title.
I don't think they, if the league they are looking at, I think they should just take their minds off that league. It's not going to happen this season. Judging from what we've seen of the NPFL in the last years. I mean, if you follow the NPFL closely, you will know that I actually mentioned at the beginning of the season that this league is going to be between Remo Stars and Rivers United. I didn't know Shooting Stars were going to come into the equation and then try to fight for something. But I'm happy for Bendel Insurance. He's one coach who has actually done a lot for the league. I'm happy to see that he is fighting for the league. I probably want him to win the league. Maybe not this season because, I mean, Remo Stars should win the league this season. Maybe next season he should be winning the league because he's a coach that knows the game, and it's quite shameful that he has not actually won the NPFL. But having said that, I think for Enyimba, a lot of persons might not understand, but I think they got it wrong administratively. It's a shame that they've not been able to, get the right guys to administer things in terms of football knowledge. I'm talking about administratively right now at the club. They went from Finidi George to Olanrewaju. From Olanrewaju now, they've gone to the former coach of Rivers United. I honestly don't think the transition has been quite smooth. From Finidi George to Olanrewaju wasn't something I expected. Yes, Olanrewaju is a good coach, but I didn't think he was ready at that point to, take charge of Enyimba. That's not to say that he's a bad coach again, like I mentioned, but I didn't think they recruited good enough coaches to, to push the team forward. Again, that team has tried for Nigeria. That team has actually carried Nigeria, but they need extra hand. They need extra push. I don't see that in Enyimba. Administratively, Kano Pillars, who has to be the chairman of the club, I personally don't think he has done that enough well in terms of administering the club. I probably think they need experienced hand, because it's one thing for you to play the game, it's another thing for you to administer the game. You can be a good player and not be a good administrator. They are two different things. And these things, they learn them. You can go to school for them. You can go and get courses for them. I think he was actually rushed into that job. And everything has just not been working well for Enyimba. And then we also saw them on the continent too. They couldn't also own their own. Last season also, when CAF tried to, manage to give us our own Super League, they went there, they couldn't even manage the point. They were beaten left, right, and center. Quite shameful. Sometimes I was even watching the CAF Super League and I was quite ashamed of my club, Enyimba, because of course they were representing Nigeria. So everything needs to start working well for Enyimba, from the administrators to the chairman, to the coaches, then to the players, because it is not down to the players. I think they have good enough players. At some point, Enyimba were recruiting players from the other teams. They were recruiting their best players. Joseph Atule, that you just mentioned, was the best player at Lobby Stars before he moved, and a couple of other guys. So what has happened to that Enyimba? They were having some of the best goalkeepers in the league. But right now, if you're looking at the best goalkeepers, you'll be looking at goalkeepers who play in Rivers United, Remo Stars, and the likes. So whatever has happened to Enyimba, I think they need to restructure and then maybe start pushing from there. But at this point in time, you should forget about anything that concerns the NPFL, because they're not going to win in this season.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one for Enyimba. But let's see, when the season comes and goes, maybe they can actually have a good run come next season. But I'll say thank you very much, Pius, for joining us today. We look forward to having you yet again. And it's always interesting and fun talking to you about the Niger Premier Football League. Thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure.